Book Bandit is back. I am going to talk a little bit about sales rank, but specifically the sales rank for all the items I have sold since I started Amazon back in September of 2014. So I really only count as doing this since about early last year. So I'm doing it about a year really. But I keep track. I keep a spreadsheet of all the books and other items I've sent into Amazon, as well as all the sales I've made. I did an average of all of the items I've sold. Now this includes not only books, but also VHS tapes, CDs, and video games, as well as some other random non-media items that I've picked up at thrift stores and whatnot. Therefore, this number is not just books. In order to get the number for just books, I'd have to go back and scour through it to pull out everything that's not a book. So this number is probably actually a good deal higher for only books. But the average for all my items is 550,000 rank. My guess is that the average for books is probably closer to 1 million. At least 800, 900,000 would be my guess. Even 550,000 is not that great of a rank, at least according to a lot of other booksellers. A lot of people, and I see this, whether it's YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, on various FBA selling groups, that a lot of people just won't buy. They definitely won't buy a 1 million ranked book, and they also might not even buy anything in the 500,000 to 1 million rank. Now this is, I'm assuming, from what I gleaned from other people, is that this is due to them worrying that the book just won't sell, period, or will take too long for their comfort level to sell. Now, the thing about books that it's different than a lot of other types of items that people sell FBA on Amazon is, generally speaking, books take a little bit longer to sell unless you have access to very fast moving books, as in ones that are ranked, let's say, under 100,000, under 50,000, especially under 10,000. Those books, assuming that you price them competitively to move, those books are generally going to move really quickly. And if you had only books, let's say, under 200,000 that you were sending in, then you would be turning those. The turnover of your inventory would be much quicker than for someone like myself that invests in longer tail books. The longer tail books, I would say, anything over 1 million. Well, million's not necessarily that long tail, but maybe 1.5 million, 2 million. Definitely anything over 3 million is going to take months, if not a year, to sell. Those books, generally speaking, should be bringing in a lot more money. There's ones that are in the millions, that the 1 million area or range, 1 million to 2 million, that can also be going for really good money. Just depends on the book and how often it's selling. But for me, so my average it's below 1 million rank, but that says to me that I'm not, I'm not worried about that I buy a lot of books that are ranked in the 1 millions. Just as an example, since January 1st through the 10th of this month, January, looking at all the sales that I made, this is not clearly caught up till today. Since January 1st to January 10th, I sold 13 books ranked over 1 million and 2 books ranked in the 2 millions. Nothing in the 3 millions, but 2 are ranked in 2 million, about 2 to 2.5 million. And then I had 13 ranked 1 million to just under 2 million. These are the ranks when I listed the books on Amazon, not when they sold. So they could have been higher when they sold. But what's important to me is when I bought them, because that's when I'm making my money, is when I'm buying the books and making a decision based upon rank and other factors. Sales rank is just one factor to consider. Now, I always look at rank first when I look at my app because it gives me a general idea. If I see something ranked 700,000 versus something ranked 6 million, that's going to give me a good idea of the book. Possibly, if it's 6 million, that it doesn't sell very often. 700,000, a copy was sold recently. Fairly recently, actually. If it's ranked around 1 million, it generally means that it's sold pretty recently, a few days or so, depending on who you're talking to. If it's 100,000, it might have just sold. If it's a couple million, though, it starts to get to a couple million, 2, 3 million, then there hasn't been one that sold that recently, maybe a few weeks. maybe a month or so. And if you get up to over 5 million, potentially it's been months. And if you start hitting 8 to 10 million, months, 6 months, could have been a year. It just depends on the book. That's why it's important, but it gives me a snapshot. The sales rank gives me a somewhere to start. And then I look at other things. I look at the reviews. Are there any reviews? If there's 0 reviews, it doesn't necessarily mean that the book is not good to buy, but it gives me an indication. Well, if it has 10 reviews, if it has 5 reviews, if it has 20 reviews, if it has 50 or more, 100 or more, then I know that this book is selling frequently, because most people don't leave a review or a rating. That means if there's 50 reviews or ratings, that's a lot of sales. Even if there's 5 to 10, that's a good amount. So there's other factors. There's also camel.com, which, if you're not familiar, is a website that tracks price history as well as sales rank history or sales history. So camel will tell you when the book sold last, how many it sold in the last few years, then the last year, and the last 6 months, all the way down to a month. So you can really get a good idea of whether that book is worth buying. You can do that when you're out, either depending on the app you have, or you can bring up camel on your internet browser on your phone, depending on what your setup is. So there's factors like that. There's also the topic, of course, is really important. How many other FBA sellers there are, the other FBA sellers, and where they're pricing the book. How many offers are there? If there's 200 offers, if there's 200 used books, that's generally not that great. If there's 50 penny offers, that's generally not that great. If there's a few penny offers and the FBA starts at maybe $12, $13, then that's a good thing. I recommend scanning not just hundreds, but thousands of titles to really get comfortable with deciphering the information you see on your app, whichever app you're using, whether you're using the free Amazon seller app, or you're using Profit Bandit, or using FBA Scan, or any of the other paid apps. The more you scan, the more comfortable you'll get with understanding the information. While this video is about sales rank and my historical sales rank for books and other items, I just want you to remember that sales rank is not the only factor. It's just a starting point. And as you understand more and start to list books and start to look at all the factors, you will get a better idea of what are good indicators of a book that's worth investing in. You're essentially investing in these books, even though they're relatively inexpensive, and you want to know what it's going to sell for and possibly how long it's going to take.
You're tired.
But that's a whole other conversation. I recommend tracking your sales rank. Keep a spreadsheet. If that's too much work for you, then I understand it, or if it's not something that you want to spend time on. But I enjoy knowing kind of the numbers, the data behind my sales. So I'm glad that I created the spreadsheet. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. This is just a brief little examination of sales rank and my experience. So ask questions and let's get a conversation going. But as always, remember, keep booking.